Good morning. Okay, so our story for this week is Winston and George. The genre of the story is fantasy. So, your essential question today, this is what lets me know that you are listening to me read this story. In what ways do the crocodile and crocodile bird help each other in this story? Along a sleepy river deep in the jungle, there once lived a very, very patient crocodile named Winston. Now, this crocodile and a crocodile bird named George were especially good friends, and they spent each day together out on the river fishing. George would perch on the very tip of Winston's snout, looking into the water for fish, and the moment he spied one, he would shout, "Dive!" Winston would then plunge deep while George hovered in the air waiting for his friend to come to the surface with a nice fish between his jaws. Then they would go ashore where they enjoyed many a delicious meal together. George, however, had a very bad habit of playing pranks. One day, while Winston was dozing with his neighbors, George flew over and yelled, "Danger! Danger!" The crocodiles immediately plunged into the river, for crocodiles always believe warnings from crocodile birds. They made a huge splash, which delighted George greatly. When nothing happened, the crocodiles swam ashore and demanded, "Just what danger did you see?" I thought I saw a danger prowling through the jungle," George stammered. "A dangerous danger. A very scary, dangerous danger." The crocodiles grumbled that he wasn't telling the truth, and the oldest and meanest snapped his jaw with a great clattering of teeth and warned, "A crocodile bird that plays pranks deserves to be eaten up." One afternoon, when the jungle was so steamy and hot that Winston had to take his nap in the water, George once again couldn't resist a prank and pushed his friend straight out into the middle of the river. Winston woke up 3 miles downstream. When he finally got home after swimming all night against the current, the other crocodiles laughed and said, "This will teach you to be patient. Why don't you just eat up that bird as we told you to do?" The thought of fishing alone out on the river without George made Winston too sad to even answer. Then one early morning, while they were out fishing, George looked down from Winston's snout and spotted a shoal of soft mud on the bottom of the river. Once again, he couldn't resist a prank. "Dive, dive!" George shouted. Down Winston dove, but instead of a fish, he found his snout stuck firmly in the mud. It was very funny at first to see a crocodile's feet and tail kicking and wagging in the air. But when George realized his friend was stuck, he grew frightened. He flew around and around, first to the hippopotamuses, then to the crocodiles, but no one offered to pull his friend from the mud. Instead, they laughed and said that's what he deserved for all of his pranks. George flew back to his struggling friend. He tickled him, hoping that would help him wiggle free. But Winston had lost all his patience, and being tickled only made him angrier. Then suddenly, his legs stopped kicking, and his tail stopped wagging, and he began to droop and droop and droop. Soon, the crocodiles and hippos swam over to see what the commotion was all about. "We'll pull your friend out, but only if you promise to stand inside his jaws and be gobbled up as you deserve." "I don't care if he gobbles me up," George pleaded. "Please, please save him." "Very well," they said, and the crocodile and the hippos made a long chain and began to pull. They tugged and tugged until, with one final yank, Winston flew over their heads and landed on a far shore. They all crowded about, As soon as Winston had recovered, one of the crocodiles said, "Now that we've pulled you out of the mud and saved your life, aren't you going to gobble up that bird of yours?" Winston blew mud from his nostrils and answered, "Why, of course I'm going to gobble him up." And this pleased them all very much. Winston opened his huge jaws while the others urged George on. "Go on in, as you promised. Climb in. Don't keep him waiting." Reluctantly, George stepped over Winston's sharp teeth and stood inside, waiting for his end to come. Winston snapped his jaws shut. Then he made a swallowing sound from deep down in his throat and stomach, followed by a loud burp. Once again, this pleased them all very much. Then, when the last crocodile and the last hippopotamus had waddled back to the river, Winston opened his jaws, and there was George, alive as ever, safe on his friend's soft tongue. George stepped from Winston's mouth and thanked him again and again. From that day on, George didn't play any more pranks on his patient crocodile, although he was tempted to many, many times. Crocodiles and crocodile birds. Real crocodile birds live in Africa and are about the size of pigeons, but have long legs for wading. They are water birds, members of the plover family, and keep company with crocodiles along riverbanks. They are said to enter the open jaws of crocodiles to pick their teeth, but no scientist has ever reported seeing this. Instead, they have been found to pick leeches and lice from the crocodile's leathery, scaly skin. Crocodiles also like crocodile birds because they are constantly alert and cry out as soon as they see danger. Many birds, even in our backyards, flutter about and warn other animals of danger. But between the small, smart bird and the giant, fierce crocodile, there is a special friendship. Real crocodiles are neither good nor bad. They are beautiful and scary, the same way that a lion is beautiful and scary. They don't eat crocodile birds because nature gave them jaws to eat much larger animals. Crocodiles are reptiles and look much like their ancestors did back when other reptiles, the huge dinosaurs, roamed the earth.